Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World and welcome to my June and July 2020 reading wrap-up of all the books that I read in those 2 months. Now, the reason why I've put those 2 months together is because I didn't read a lot. I've got my little book here which I write down all the books that I've read that month, and in June I read a grand total of 3 and in July I read 7. So better in July, but still not great. But I think I'm back with the reading now, and I think my little slump has gone, because it definitely was a slump. For me to only read 3 books in a month, that is a slump, because usually I just want to read all the time. Now I do quickly have to address my background, because you might be able to see that they look a little bit different. So this side I've now got non-fiction, and this side I've got my classics, although they have overspilt because I have too much, but they're all great. So yeah, but I really like them, you know. I've got non-fiction, oh this is historical fiction, but basically history here and classic books here, and then behind me is still like I've still got Paddington there, I've still got children's classics there, but they're just kind of slightly different. But I have to say I am really loving it, and I've bought some decorations, so hopefully you'll see them decorated soon, and I will be doing a bookshelf tour as well at some point too. So let me show you the books that I read in the month of June and July that I haven't featured in their own individual book review or their own kind of group book review, like my history book reviews, etc. Okay, quite the pile. I am going to try and talk to you about them in the order in which I've read them, but apologies if I do make mistakes here and there. So first of all, Harley Quinn Volume 1, Die Laughing. This is part of the DC Universe Rebirth series. I think in my last monthly wrap-up I read a Harley Quinn which was a New 52 one, and I said I think I'm going to stop there with the New 52 and start the Rebirth, see if I like it. And you know what, I did like it. I liked it because Poison Ivy's in it, and you know me and Poison Ivy, and I did feel like the ones where Poison Ivy is in the issues were really strong, and the ones that she wasn't in them wasn't quite as strong for me, just because I do love Poison Ivy and I love what she can do, and I think she's a really strong character. So yeah, overall I gave this 3 stars. I think it's good. As for carrying on with the series, I think what I'm going to do is do a little bit of research and see how much Poison Ivy's in the next volume, and if she's quite strong in that one, then I will carry on with the series, but if not, I'll just leave it here because I'm all about Poison Ivy. Right, then I did a reread, and I reread The Inimitable G's by P.G. Wodehouse. So I read The Inimitable G's quite a few years ago now, and I adored it. I thought it was wonderful. But I have now finished all the books in the Jeeves and Wooster series, so I need to reread the books. And I now have some beautiful Folio Society edition copies. I showed this on my Instagram and lots of you said you really liked it. But yeah, I've got these wonderful copies with these beautiful illustrations in that I thought, you know what, I'm going to reread the series with these beautiful, beautiful books. So I did. So 5 stars. It's wonderful. If you've never picked up a P.G. Wodehouse, please do. It is a classic, but it's absolutely hilarious. And Jeeves and Wooster are just, oh, they're just his best characters. So yeah, I reread that one. Then a couple of books that I got for my birthday, I read pretty much on my birthday or the day after. This one is a graphic novel. This is Stand in Your Power by Rachel Smith. I've read a few Rachel Smiths before and really enjoyed them. This one is a graphic novel centred around her as she's just broken up from her boyfriend, and it's kind of learning to move on and learning that it's okay to be sad and how to move on, especially when you've lived with that partner and you having to move to a new place and friends and going out and all those types of things. And yeah, it was wonderful, wonderful little read. 4 stars. It's great. I love the artwork of Rachel Smith's work. I think she's just wonderful. I really like her as a graphic novelist. So there's a couple more of her books that I need to read, and then I'm pretty much up to date, ready for the new releases. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one, and you can check out her work and her books from Etsy. That's why I get her stuff from. The next one was another one that I got for my birthday. Very kind. These were all books that are on my wish list, and my like family or my boyfriend kind of got them for me. So this one is Harley and Ivy Meet Betty and Veronica. So this is a DC mashup with Archie Comics, and I've really enjoyed this one. Now this one was one that I learned about through negative reviews. I love reading negative reviews. The negative reviews for this was that it was quite slow paced, not too much happens, it's not, you know, really out there for a comic book, and there's not loads of different things happening all at the same time. And I was like, I love that. I love slower comic books where you can just kind of enjoy the slower pace of it and you can enjoy the mundane stuff, and I really like that personally. I liked the story of this because we have Poison Ivy at the beginning. She finds out that someone is planning on setting up this kind of new shopping centre, university kind of complex, and to do that they're going to knock down this swamp, and this swamp has lots of endangered animals in there and plants that only can thrive in said habitat. So Poison Ivy, of course, she's really annoyed and she's like, I want to go and kill him. And Harley's a bit like, okay, let's just go in slowly. So they go in to meet him, and he's like, no. And so they have to rethink their plan. But of course they meet Betty and Veronica, and they meet Betty and Veronica at a costume party where Betty and Veronica are dressed as Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and shenanigans occurs. And I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. The only kind of a downside for me is the art style, because I love the art style of the cover like this, but it's not the art style that you get inside. Like, it's a bit different. I wish like this was the art style inside, but hey ho, really good, 4-star, and would definitely recommend it if you are fans of Poison Ivy or Harley Quinn, because they're great. Then another book that I received for my birthday, I asked this, just a second-hand copy, just to see if I like it, to test my toe in the water. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you might know that I picked up a Simpsons comic a while ago, and I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it. And I love watching The Simpsons. I've watched it since I was a kid. I still watch it now. I know it's not as good as what it was, but it's still pretty good. And so I wanted to pick up some comics, so I read this one. This is just called The Simpsons, and I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, some of the comics are stronger than others, but I just love the art and I love the stories, and it's so funny. And yeah, it's really good. I gave this 3 stars just because it is a mixed bag of some things are really good and 4-star, and some things are just okay. But if you're a Simpson fan, I would suggest trying to pick it up. Now this one isn't a book, it's a comic book, but well, a comic zine, I guess. This is Simpson Comics, and I picked this up just purely for the cover because I loved it. I thought it was so good. Now, if you're like me and you love Patty and Selma, you actually really like this one. Now this one is 10 years old because this is from 2010, but the story in it is wonderful, and it was just so funny. So Homer's watching the TV, and Springfield has been named the ugliest city in America, and then on the TV they flash up a picture of Patty and Selma, and so Patty and Selma feel absolutely humiliated, and Marge is like, oh, don't be silly, it's fine. And they're like, well, you've got nothing to worry about because you've always been the pretty one. So Marge decides that she's going to turn into like a Patty and Selma to see what it feels like to kind of walk in their shoes. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So I just thought I'd give it a bit of a shout out. If you're wondering, Maggie is my favourite character in The Simpsons, but then followed is Patty and Selma because I think they're fab. So yeah. If you like The Simpsons, go and check out that one because that one was really good. Then there is a driveway sale, and for £1 I picked up Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, which is, you know, one that's sort of in the charts, so to speak, and one that I don't usually turn to. This is set in Ireland, and there is a 21-year-old English student called Frances, and she has a best friend slash ex-girlfriend who's a history student called Bobby, and then Bobby meets this journalist called Melissa and her husband called Nick, and Nick and Frances kind of get close, let's say. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's a book that I whizzed through in 2 days. I mean, it's not huge, but I did whiz through it. It's 321 pages, but I absolutely whizzed through it. The writing style is quite blunt. There's no speech marks, which I thought might be a bit tricky, but once you kind of get used to it, I was gone. But the problem with this is that there is no likeable characters. I didn't like a single person in this book. And at the end where I was like, oh, you've wrapped up this storyline, but what about this one with your dad? Like, what's happening with your dad? I realised actually I didn't care because I didn't like anybody. So it was okay. I mean, initially I gave it 3 stars, but on reflection, I think it's more of a 2, to be honest, because literally looking back on it, I think it's okay, and give it another 6 months and I'm going to completely forget about it, to be honest. I'm not sounding harsh, but it's not a memorable book for me. However, saying that, I would read Normal People. I haven't watched Normal People yet because I'd like to read the book, but yeah, I'd quite like to read Normal People because I hear a lot of people have similar sort of things to say about this book that I do, but have really enjoyed Normal People. So yeah, it was all right, but yeah, definitely going to try out Normal People if I see it out and about. Then I had a reread, and I reread 3-Act Tragedy by Agatha Christie. So I read this for the Christie Fest, which I am a co-host of with the lovely Julie from the Hungry Book Room. You should check her out, she's lovely. And yeah, we read, slash for me, reread 3-Act Tragedy. So this book is about Sir Charles Cartwright, who hosts this dinner party, and there ends up like all these 13 people, which is an unlucky number, as we know, and they're handing out cocktails, and a Reverend Stephen Babington takes one, and then he dies. Dun dun dun. And that is the murder in the first act. So you can guess how many there's going to be. This is good. This is a 3-star Poirot for me. Is it the best one? No, because there's not enough Poirot. It's as simple as that. He's in it at the beginning, then he goes away, and then he's in it at the end. And it's like, I need him to just stay put. Because for me, he's what makes these books for me. And I just love him. So it's good, but not great. But yeah, I think we'll have a chat either on our Discord group that we've got for the Christie Fest, or maybe do a Zoom call or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, chat about it anyway. If you want to become part of the Christie Fest for the next one, in which I have picked a book, let me know in the comments below and we can sort it all out. And then finally, a 5-star read. It is The Cuckoos Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. So because of what has happened in the world, BBC have put on some box sets on their iPlayer, and one of which was Strike, and they put up the ones that have currently already been shown. And I rewatched the series again for the 10 millionth time, and I was like, I want to read the books. So I saw this in a charity shop for a couple of pounds, and I was like, I'm going to read it, and it was amazing. So we have a model called Lula Landry who commits apparent suicide, but her brother comes to the offices of Cormoran Strike and says, can you look into this please, because I'm not sure it is. And Cormoran Strike, who's a very different sort of detective, he is the son of like this famous person called Johnny Rightby. His mother was this kind of famous groupie, and he was in a relationship with this kind of socialite as well. He was himself in the army. He was like a medical, no, not medical, like an officer sort of thing, but in the army. and he was blown up sort of thing with an IED, which you hear about so much and it's horrible. So he's lost the lower part of his leg, so he has a disability as well. And he's a really interesting character, and he has someone to come and help him called Robin, who takes on as a temp but then ends up staying. And yeah, it's just wonderful. It's addictively written. it is written in the way to just literally just keep you going, and that's all I wanted to do. All day, every day, all I wanted to do was read this, and I polished it off in a couple of days, so despite it being, you know, well over 500 pages, I literally just devoured it. It was wonderful, and I can't wait to read the others. So that is it. That is my very long June and July reading wrap up. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know by giving it a big thumbs up, and chat to me in the comments all things bookish. What have you been reading recently? And I shall see you soon for the next video. Bye for now.